Okay, welcome back to my comic book channel. Today's date is October the 30th, 2020. It's Friday, the day before Halloween. And today we are going to do a Halloween themed comic book cover from the Bronze and Silver Age. So these happen to be some of my favorite covers of all time from that era. And it's going to be a mixture of both Marvel and DC related covers. Okay, so the first issue we're going to go through is Monsters and the Prowl number 12. This particular issue was penciled and drawn by Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers. And actually the story itself originates from Journey in the Mystery number 61, which was October of 1960. But the actual cover you're looking at now is from 1971. So one of my favorite all-time covers. This is Gamdula, the Living Pharaoh, and I can't get enough of the artwork. So, great cover. Now we're going to go into Creatures on the Loose. Okay, Creatures on the Loose number 10, formerly known as the Tower of Shadows, from issues 1 to 9. Starting with issue number 10, Marvel decided to change the name. I'm not sure why, but either way, the artwork happens to be some of the best in the horror genre for the Bronze Age, and this particular issue might look familiar. It was drawn by the late great Bernie Wrightson, and it happened to be his segue into the Marvel Universe, which is why this issue is worth so much more than the typical Creatures on the Loose comic book. And the story itself, The Skull of Silence, is basically, it's about Call's arrogance leading to the release of an ancient menace that he's barely able to defeat. And some of the artwork was also done by Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers, but a majority of the Call comic that you're looking at right now was drawn by Bernie Wrightson. So one of my favorite issues, but we've got some more covers to look through here. And Creatures on the Loose number 11. Another Jack Kirby, Dick Ayers cover. Number 12, I Was Captured by Gorilla. Also another masterpiece of art by Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers. Number 13, this happens to be one of my favorite covers from Jack Kirby and Dick Ayers, The Creature from Kragar. Some great stories in this comic book, man. Issue number 14, Dead Storage. And issue number 15, Sprag the Living Mountain and Where Lurks the Ghost. Two really cool stories from that genre. So now we are going to transition to a couple one-off issues. Another one of my favorite horror genre covers is Doc Savage meets the Werewolf. And he actually, this was a two-comic series, issue number 7 and issue number 8, which originates from the Brand of the Werewolf book. But another obscure title called Beware. This is about a werewolf that prowls around in the countryside, and the great John Romito and Jack Kirby do the artwork for these particular comic books. And John Romito, as you may or may not know, was one of the original artists for Spider-Man. All right, Doctor Strange number 14. Now this one happens to be a segue from the Tomb of Dracula number 44, where Doctor Strange actually gets bitten by the vampire and becomes a vampire himself and has to use his mystical powers to snap out of this divine curse. So it's really a great story about the Sorcerer Supreme battling the Lord of the Vampires. Great cover, by the way. One of my favorite all-time Werewolf by Night covers is issue number 11. Now, I know a lot of people are going to give me flack and say, well, what about issue number 32 with Moon Knight? Well, that might be worth the most money, and certainly it's a cool cover in its own right, but I believe this particular cover from 1973 happens to be one of the best. And this particular cover was done, again, by the great John Romita of Spider-Man and Gil Kane of Superman. Last but not least, we're going to segue into DC Comics and a another somewhat obscure title called Strange Adventures, which was all over the place during the Silver and Bronze Age of DC comic books. And Strange Adventures was a long-running science fiction anthology that featured various heroic figures, including Adam Strange, Atomic Knights, Captain Comet, Darwin Jones, Deadman, Enchantress, etc. And like its sister title, Mystery in Space, Strange Adventures was scheduled for a relaunch in 1978, but the plans were canceled due to the DC implosion. A year later, the relaunch went forward with a new title called Time Warp. Now, 5 issues I'm going to show you. The artwork was done by Carmine Infantino, who was just all over the place during the Silver and Bronze Age of DC Comics. He was one of the primary artists for The Flash, Plastic Man, and even did some of the artwork for the Meagle toy line of action figures. I think he did the artwork for the Joker box on the Meagle action figure series. But anyway, this particular cover is one of my favorites. It's called The Human Fishbowl. And then we've got another really interesting cover here. The Walking Trump Tower. No, just kidding. This is the skyscraper that came to life. This is one of these covers that I remember as a child. One of my favorite covers by Carmine Infantino is The Amazing Trial of John Gorilla Doe. Very interesting story. You gotta read it. Lifeboat in Space and Earth's Secret Visitors. Another Carmine Infantino cover. Last but not least, one of the covers I most vividly remember as a child was the Parakeet, the Prisoner of the Parakeets, and a very weird story by Adam Strange. The Powerless Weapons. Okay, last but not least, Prisoner of the Parakeets, and this is a cover I most vividly remember as a child growing up in the late 70s. So, anyway, okay, that concludes my video on the Halloween theme for 2020 for science fiction and horror related comic books of the past. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment below. And we'd certainly like to hear what your favorite monster related comic book was of any era. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Bronze or the Silver Age. Let us know below, and let's start a conversation. Take care, and we will have more videos to come. Thanks for watching.